Hi, Ben Bradley, I'm the MP for Mansfield. I didn't have the pleasure last time. I'm relatively new to the committee, so forgive me if I'm catching up. But just to touch on what Trudy was saying before, do you evaluate your research? Because talking about some of the things it's been used for, looked at, the suggestion that, for example, you're talking about different kinds of assemblies and approaches that are more engaging for kids, and as Trudy said, some of that seems to be kind of common sense. Rob touched on at the beginning elements of research about what makes a good placement that then doesn't seem to follow through in some of the organisations that you fund. Do you evaluate how you commission that research, what you use it for, and do you think it's value for money?
Our research means that we are targeting the young people that need it the most with the activities that are best evidenced. That's our focus, and we think that is a worthwhile way to engage in research. So
to take up Rob's example again, the research that says a good placement is every 2 weeks for a year, that then fund organisations that don't do that. What was the value of that research?
What we always try to do with the research is follow it as far as we can. This is a space where the research is patchy, where there are often it's not that many organisations working in the areas that we're working in, and one of our key principles is to test and learn. So we absolutely do follow the research where we can, build our additional data points as we go, learn from our own experience. We are very focused as an organisation on learning. I think the question of do we look at whether we use our research appropriately enough is an interesting one, and one we could think about. But we are very, as an organisation, we obsess about what the data tells us and what that means we should do differently.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to have that analysis of we're talking a lot about hard and soft outcomes across various data, but having that analysis of what are the hard outcomes of research and what does it achieve, if you know what I mean. But my kind of line of questioning was slightly different, so to move on a little bit, obviously you've had careers strategy that's been added to your brief quite recently. What progress have you kind of made in implementing that? How's it going?
Career strategy set out 20 careers hubs to be launched this year, and they have been launched. Mm-hmm. So it was announced in December. We announced the careers hubs in the summer. They've been launched this September. The career strategy said 500 schools should receive bursaries to support their careers leaders. We set those bursaries in train within a few months. In fact, many more than 500 schools and colleges bid, and the government has now tripled the number of bursaries as a result.
And the same on the careers hubs. Of course, we were asked to do 20, and we were again oversubscribed for those 20. And now, as you know, since the summer, the Secretary of State has announced a further 20 hubs.
Mm-hmm. The investment funds have been launched. So we've gone from, in December, the career strategy being published, to September, 20 careers hubs operational, 1,400 careers bursaries allocated to schools and colleges, providers to deliver that training to careers leaders in schools up and running, online training provided with Teach First.
And so you're satisfied that that's progressing as it should? And
we're absolutely satisfied, yeah. And we've been delighted with the response from schools and colleges.
And do you have plans to kind of, I assume, formally kind of review that at some point to come up with the kind of data that we've been talking about?
Yeah, we do review it with the department.
Okay, great. And obviously it's another additional thing, so you're talking about how your remit has changed since you started as an organisation. Do you think you do too much? Do you think it's too broad? It's obviously really, DFE decisions, but I'm interested in your view as to whether all these additional things make things more difficult for you as an organisation.
I think for young people, it's quite simple. I think the challenge is that good career support for young people requires them to have loads of different influences. They need one-to-one personal advice, they need to meet employers, they need to meet higher education, they need to meet apprenticeship providers, and they need to find the people who are relevant to them locally. And that can make it complicated for all of us, but I think for the young person it's actually very simple when it's done right.
Okay, so you think better to have, from their point of view, one point of contact, so to speak, as opposed to you kind of specialise and have expertise in one particular area?
I think the challenge for young people has been that no one has brought all of those different influences together. And speaking of learning and what we've learned over 40 years, I think we've learned that young people need all these different influences. If there's one thing we've learned, that's what we've learned. And that's what we're trying to bring to young people.
Yeah. And I think for the first time ever, what we've got now is a recognised, view of what does good career support look like. And I don't think that has ever existed before. And I think what is great that 3,000 schools in completing the tool are all happy to baseline what they're doing against this recognised standard. So I think it's quite profound.
Thank you.